Unfortunately, the scams that involve bad guys pretending to be from the IRS tend to be some of the largest and most devastating scams that any of us can face. I don't want to see that happen to you, so that's why we're doing today's video. Right off of the IRS.gov website, it says the IRS does not initiate contact with taxpayers by email, text messages, or social media. So right off the bat, if that's happening, you know that that's not right. And I want you to go to the IRS.gov site either during this video or afterwards and educate yourself, find out more about these scams, because these can really be large amounts of money that are stolen and can ruin people's lives, and I don't want that to happen to you. So here is the URL in the subtitle here of where I'm getting these scam alerts. And the first one, you know, if it wasn't so dangerous, it would be funny. It turns out this is a real thing. The IRS does have a taxpayer advocacy panel, which advises the IRS on issues that impact all of us. They're volunteers. But you know what? The scammers have used this, and they've come up with emails and social media campaigns and say, hey, be part of the taxpayer advocacy panel. So you really have to be careful, because in those sign up to be part of the taxpayer advocacy panel, the TAP, they ask for personally identifiable information. They ask for financial information. Don't fall victim to it. So I just had to point that out at the beginning of the video. But really, let's go to the IRS website here, and you can see they have a whole list of scams. We're going to go through a couple of these that I read through that I saw. You know what? These are, unfortunately, they're pretty clever, and I could see where people fall for these. Okay, there's a new scam mailing that's related to unclaimed refunds. And the scam involves mailing coming from a fancy cardboard envelope from a delivery service. And the letter inside says that there's an unclaimed refund that you're owed, and it comes on IRS letterhead. So just be aware of that. Just because it has IRS letterhead on it doesn't mean it's from the IRS. Stay to the end. I'm going to tell you how you can contact the IRS directly yourself and make sure that what you're dealing with is legitimate. Okay, the next one is the IRS is warning taxpayers of filing a new filing season scam that involves falsifying your W-2 wages. And this is one that's going viral on social media, where these fraudsters are encouraging people to doctor their W-2 forms and say that they made more money, they withheld more money than they really did. And you know, if you see something like that, and most of us are never going to be tempted by that, but if you are tempted to do something like that, I just have one question for you. How good do you look wearing an orange jumpsuit? Right? You don't want to do that. Life is too short. So enough said. Okay, the next one is scammers are reaching out to the HR departments at the companies that we work with and trying to scam those people into giving our personally identifiable information, our social security information to scammers. So if you work in HR, unfortunately, you're really a target. So please be very, very careful. Okay, another one is a surge in email, phishing, and malware schemes. And here the IRS is just, you know, we all know what this is. It looks like it comes from the IRS. If you get one of those, do the rest of us a favor and forward that to the email address phishing@irs.gov, and phishing is spelled phishing, phishing@irs.gov. Just forward that email on so they can start tracking it, and the IRS can do a good job of warning us. Okay, so what should we do? First, I want to make sure you know what the IRS's official website is. It's, of course, www.irs.gov. It's not .com. It's, you know, it's not .org. It's not .club or .live or whatever it is. It's not irs.me. It's irs.gov. Okay, and then actually on the IRS website, I had to laugh. You know, how do you know it's really the IRS, even if you go to the IRS website? But here's what they say. They want you to know, I found this super interesting, that the IRS initiates most contact through regular mail delivered by the United States Postal Service. But then there is a however. They say, however, there are circumstances in which the IRS will call or come to a home or business. I didn't realize that. These include when a taxpayer has an overdue bill, a delinquent or unfiled tax return, or has made an employment tax deposit. I don't know what that is. Maybe somebody does. Please leave in the comments. An IRS employee may also view the assets or tour a business as part of a collection investigation. But even then, and this is the important part, even then taxpayers will generally be notified and receive several notices and letters from the IRS delivered by mail by the U.S. Postal Service. So if somebody shows up at your front door and says that we're at the IRS, really be skeptical. Say, you know what, I'm going to have you wait outside. I'm locking my door. And, if I were you, I'd call the police just to make sure it's legit. Or, call the IRS. Reach out to the IRS directly. But if you haven't received, if you're generally a law-abiding citizen and you haven't received notice from the IRS several times that, hey, we're going to be stopping by to talk to you, then it's probably a scam, and I would not hesitate personally. I hope the police departments don't mind me saying this, calling the police department, because I think you're about to get scammed. Okay, so that is what the IRS says for how to really know it's from us. Okay, so what else can you do? You can call the IRS directly yourself. I mentioned that earlier. The phone number for the IRS is 1-800. Did you catch that? You don't want to get a phone number for the IRS from some YouTube guy. Hopefully, you trust me, but you want to look it up directly. So even if I gave you a phone number, you shouldn't use it. So hopefully you took that as the joke it was meant to be. Also, just a quick aside, did you know that the IRS has their own YouTube channel? So I was surprised by that, and good for the IRS, because it's important that we get this information out and we let people know about these scams, because again, this can be devastating. And unfortunately, as we get older and our account balances get higher, guess what? We become bigger targets. These scamsters are probably not trying to target, their primary target is probably not kids in their 20s. It's probably people 50, 60, 70, even 80, where we have assets. And as we get 70 and 80, some of us are not going to be as mentally acute as we are today. So unfortunately, these scammers are targeting the people that are least able to protect themselves. And frankly, it just is disgusting. I think we all feel that way. So as your account balances get larger, I want you to be more and more careful. And there are services, there are tools that you can use. There's password managers. We just really need to be super vigilant and make sure that we're not becoming an easy target to the IRS. Okay, so on a much more pleasant note, I want you to think about watching this video here, which talks about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. You've worked hard for your money. We're going to protect it from the scammers, and we're going to use it to enjoy our retirement. And you know what? The sooner you make that leap, for many of us, the more fun. We're going to take full advantage of that youth of our senior years. So watch that video up here. 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in there. Bye-bye.